All right, let me call the Inland Wetlands Commission meeting of New Canaan to order. This is Monday, September 16th. Will the secretary take the roll, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Mr. Stepanek.
Here.
Ms. Jameson, present. Ms. Brunali.
Present.
Ms. Sanford.
Present.
Ms. Woike.
Present.
Mr. Reddin.
Here.
Ms. Owsley.
Absent, I think. Yeah.
And Mr. Ramirez is on Zoom.
He's on Zoom, yeah.
Present.
Thank you.
Approval of the agenda. If there's no deletions or comments, can I hear a motion?
I move approval.
Second.
All right, Angela and Sandy. Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of July 15th. Any comments? If not, can I hear a motion? Let me get this off.
Beth Sanford, I move that we approve the minutes from the July 15th regular meeting.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
This is Commissioner Brunelli. For the record, I abstained from voting as I was not
Oh,
present.
that's right, yes. Were you here, Priscilla?
I wasn't there either, no.
You weren't here, yeah, okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 of us, I guess.
Okay.
And Adam, did he vote?
I don't know, Adam, Adam, were you here on the 15th?
Of July,
Yeah.
I was, but I think I had to recuse myself on one portion of the meeting.
Okay, all right. You all have a copy of the site visit minutes of September 5th. Any comments? If not, can I hear a motion? I'll make a motion for your approval. Sandy's going to second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried.
Sorry, Commissioner Brunelli, for the record again. I'm going to abstain again because I was not present.
Were you here?
I was not there either.
Okay, so it's 3 people. Abstain. Okay, got it? Good. Also now let's open the regular meeting. Number 5, we have 2 applications to be heard on October 21st. Application number IW 2433 342 Indian Rock Road. And the second one will be application number IW 2434 55 Running Brook Lane. And I'd like to suggest that we have a site visit on October 9th. Is there anyone, how many people can make, it's a Wednesday, October 9th. Let's start with Angela.
I can make it.
I can make it, that's 2, Beth.
The only issue is I am not going to be able to attend the next meeting, so I don't know if it's relevant.
I'll leave it up to you. But
I would say yes, if you're able to do the site visit, because sometimes matters get continued over. So
Okay, I can
yes,
make
do the
the
site
night.
visit if you can do it.
Yeah.
Sandy,
I believe I can make the 9th.
okay. Beth,
I believe I can make the 9th
You
as
make it?
well.
I'm hoping to.
You're
I'm not
hoping
sure
to.
we're going away, and I don't know if we're going away the day before or that day.
okay. I would ask you, please, if you can't make it,
Hmm?
as soon as you know you can't make it, call
Yes.
Kathleen. Because we're kind of, in the last couple of meetings, we've just had a quorum, which is 4, and just been able to make it. So please call Kathleen.
Don't forget Adam. Is
Adam?
Yes, I can make it.
I'm sorry.
that's okay.
All righty. So we open tonight with a public hearing. And I'm going to read this if I can. At our last meeting in July, we agreed to have a public hearing regarding the application. So once we hear the applicant, then we'll see if there's anybody in the house or on Zoom and that has any comments or any questions. And then after that, then we'll debate it and discuss it. The commission will discuss it and possibly will vote, and we should be able to vote. The application number IW 2427, 677 South Avenue, Town of New Canaan, Waveney Park. Waveney Conservancy is proposing a forestry management plan focusing on, I hope I pronounce this right, Genium Meadow, areas 2 and 3, approximately 15 acres. Working over a 3 to 5 year period, the plan includes open woodlands through forestry mulching, selectively removing fallen or downed trees, hand clear around these trees, tree trunks as needed, spot treat entire area for invasive species to encourage native understory reestablishment of vegetation, and recommend planting strategies to increase native cover and species diversity. And Tiger Man, Director of Public Works for New Canaan, will now let us know, or make his presentation.
Before Mr. Mann speaks, this is Commissioner Brunelli for the record. I am going to recuse myself from this matter as I received notice as an abutter.
Okay.
That's just going to be waiting in the next room. I'm going to text her when we're finished with this matter, and then she'll come back in for the remainder of the meeting. Rejoin the meeting when we're finished with this.
All right. Thank you very much. Tiger Man, Director of Public Works. I'm joined by Penn Marchand from Pennington Gray. Penn is will be doing the work for us. That was his proposal. He's on Zoom with us tonight. And I'm with William Kenny from William Kenny Associates. They were the soil scientists, so they did the wetland report.
Just on Zoom, I just want to let you know, I believe you have a commission member, Stephen Zatz is on as
Oh,
well.
great.
Just-
Okay, because that was my next part, was the Stephen Zacks is from the Conservancy. So he'll be representing the Conservancy this evening. So I just wanted to kind of bring you forward. You gave us a nice overview as to what the wetland application is. I'll just kind of try to dial you in as to where we are. Then I'm going to hand it off to Penn, then hand it off to Bill, and then we can answer any questions. But basically, the area they're speaking of, this is an area of Waveney itself. At the top is the high school and the track. To the left is the baseball field, Capo Field in Lapham, and then down to the bottom right where the star is, that's the cornfield. That was what was called the cornfield. Now it's the Genium Meadow. The Conservancy spent a considerable amount of money in the meadow, rejuvenating the meadow, restoring the meadow. And now this work that we're looking to do is a little bit above and beyond the areas of the meadow itself, surrounding it, to try to then protect the meadow itself. So this forestry management plan is the areas surrounding that meadow. Give it to you a little more graphically, exact same thing. This work area squared off here on the bottom right is where we're looking to perform the work. And give you one more map. This is a map from our application itself. The upper portion of this screen, the one that I'm dialing in on, areas 2, 3, surrounding F, which is the Genium Meadow itself. This is the area of our focus itself. And just to give you an idea from the wetland mapping, you can see where the wetlands were inside this area, or wetlands are inside this area. So at this point, I'm going to hand it off to Penn. I'm going to stop sharing so he can share. And then let Penn go from there.
Okay, let me know if everyone can see the screen that I'm sharing right now.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I'm just going to add a little bit more to what Tiger said and the application, just for some clarity. The goal here is for understory restoration of the forest that's adjacent to the wetlands. So that includes registered uplands to the wetlands and within the registered area.
Pen, will you identify yourself and
Sure,
give us some
yeah, I
back?
apologize, yes. And thank you all for allowing me to be on Zoom. My name is Penn Marshall. I'm the owner and operator of Pennington Gray. We're a landscape contracting firm that's out of Bedford Hills, New York. We work in Waveney and New Canaan and all the surrounding towns and counties, New York and Connecticut. Our focus as our firm is natural habitat restoration. So we do a lot of meadows and forestry management, invasive plant management, wetland management, and similar stuff, as well as traditional landscaping. So basically, we've been working with Waveney over the past 3 to 4 years, restoring Geniam Meadow. And at this point, there's an opportunity to expand our work into the understory and forest floors within Waveney Park. So that's what we're sort of working on right now. Just a couple of bullet points. I think most everybody's aware, Waveney Park's a large parcel at 276 acres, 164 of forested. We're focusing on 38 acres, of which Geniam Meadow is part of that. And our restoration program is going to take up about 8 to 10 acres of that. We have a multi-step process that we're going to approach it with, which is initial eradication of understory plants, which is mainly invasive vines and shrub material that's inhibiting vegetative restoration of the forest floor. So we don't have any woodland ephemerals or no native species that provide habitat or any other diversity to the understory. We do this through mechanical removal and hand clearing in any sensitive areas that are wetland or soft soils or where we might have any damage to large trees. This is a difficult thing to say that we're going to do these things over the next 5 years. So part of our approach is to have a continual involvement in these woodlands and continually evaluate them to refine our strategy to make sure that our implementation yields beneficial results, which is restoring the understory canopy so that it doesn't revert back to invasive shrubs and invasive vines. Basically outlined as invasive removal, evaluating the woodlands, spot treating with selective wetland regulated herbicides, and then a strategic plan for replanting seeds and live plants, which starts within the best areas and works to the most degraded areas with the goal of keeping the best areas better, to say the least. Just a little bit about our current work. This is a photo from 2016 from what was known at that time as the cornfields in Waveney Park, which was sort of a dumping ground and refuse for New Canaan. This is it about a month ago, where we have healthy coverage of trees, shrubs, and native warm season grasses, sedges, and wildflowers that are all native. So through our management and implementation, we've had fairly good success in that progress. To Tiger's point, we are hitting the highlighted areas of 2 and 3 that are surrounding F, which is Geniam Meadow. And these areas aren't directly in any wetlands, though a section of them are in the registered uplands to the wetland meadows. I have a brief video here I also wanted to share in case anybody had questions about what forestry mulching is, because that's going to be our first step, which is removing the understory so that we can get access into this forest floor and start to work on it. So this is one of our forestry mulchers. And essentially, we've selected to use this type of machine because it has a low impact on the soil. It's only about 5 to 6 pounds of pressure per square inch. As you can see, it's not divoting or rutting.
And, excuse me, Kathleen Holland,
Yes.
the video is not playing. Do you?
Oh, let me try again. I apologize. Thank you, Kathleen. There we go. I did not switch. Try again. So the machine has a low impact on the soils, and it grinds the understory invasives up in place so that we preserve nutrient cycling that should naturally take place in the forest floor. We don't remove stuff or rip out roots or anything. So we minimize soil disturbance and we keep nutrient density in the soil so we don't change anything on the forest floor too much. The great thing about this also is that we do it in the winter or when the ground is frozen or hard. So we give the opportunity for vegetative resurgence in the spring from ephemerals and other woodland understory plants that aren't shrubs or vines. What happens is we often see a lot of sedges and ferns come back after an implementation like this. This will be followed up with spot treatments with herbicide technicians using regulated wetland herbicides to spot treat for any of these things that grow back selectively. That's all I have. So I'll pass it off to Bill, and if you guys have further questions, I can follow up with anything that is related to implementation.
Anybody have any questions? Yeah. Go ahead.
This is Angela Jameson. So,
Can you turn your mic on?
oh, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry, Angela Jameson for the record. So I'm interested whether this machinery has been used anywhere in New Canaan up to this point, or anywhere perhaps in surrounding towns.
Yeah, we've done a lot of clearing with Greenwich Land Trust before. I've done a lot on private residences throughout New Canaan and Greenwich, as well as Bedford. We probably clear 60 to 100 acres a season in the winter, if not more. So yeah, we use it often. It's very successful. It's proven. We did 30 acres in Greenwich earlier this spring before it defrosted. So yeah, it's often used. It's great. It's actually very exciting.
Right. And so how long has this kind of machinery been available?
Oh, this has been available for, I don't know, 20 plus years, 20, 30 years.
Okay, so it's not new.
No, it's not new. It's just specialized. It's very expensive, prone to breaking, so it requires a high level of maintenance. So it's not readily available. It's readily available, but people aren't eager to purchase it because of the level of service and maintenance they require. So they're expensive, to say the
So
least.
your firm owns the machinery, or you'll be contracting that out and
We own
supervising
one,
it?
and we work with another firm that owns 3 other ones as well.
Okay.
So yeah, so we'll be able to move quickly if the ground is frozen and cold.
Thank you.
Yeah, Penn, are you gonna?
Go ahead.
How much, I see that you're taking off some, like topsoil. How deep you go, and maybe you're gonna get into this later, I don't know, but you're
No.
going, you're
Yeah.
taking what, 6 inches to a foot?
It takes about 4 to 6 inches and it grinds it up in place. And this is actually part of the control methodology, is it actually shatters the crown of the shrubs where they resprout new growth from. So it actually has a naturally, it kills it. And we get about 70% of control just from doing this without herbicide. So that's why we select this versus brush cutting or something like that. This shatters and breaks up the stumps a little bit as well.
You don't burn anything, do you?
Nope, we don't burn everything. These are like it's like this giant drum that's moving at about 11,000 rounds per minute, and it's got these little carbide hammers or blades on them that sort of shreds everything up like a hyper power wood chipper, and then we run it along the ground.
Go ahead, Ben.
Beth Sanford, so in the presentation, you mentioned mechanical removal of, is that what you're referring to, this machine?
Yes, absolutely.
And so you go through and you just suggested that about 70% of the invasives are basically destroyed with the machine. And then is that after you've evaluated what's left when you apply the herbicide?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
And
Yep.
what is, in terms of start to finish, I know you want to do it when the ground is frozen. How long does it take do you expect for the 2 areas that we're talking about?
We can do about an acre a day. And that's why I said we have another contract we work with that also has dedicated machines, so that if we need to work more quickly, we could bring in 2 or 3 machines at one time to work in 2 or 3 different areas and get it done if we only have a small window of time to work within.
And what would determine the small window, the how cold the ground is?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because we have been getting less and less frost, so we kind of want to want to capture that as best as possible. I will say that this machine does leave behind not significant rutting, but there is disturbance on the forest floor. But what I've seen is the initial disturbance that we see in the wintertime, even if the ground is frozen, through the rest of the winter, we have these freeze-thaw cycles that happen, and the ground generally levels out or close to back to normal by the springtime. It's fairly unrecognizable come April or May.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Anyone else at this time? All right, I guess there's no more questions right now, Penn, so go ahead. All right, I'm sorry.
Well, Penn was going to hand off to Bill if there's any
I'm sorry,
questions
Bill.
for
Sorry.
hit it hard.
Guess I'm not strong enough. I just have a few other things to add, just for the record, to say, Bill Kenny, professional wetland scientist, soil scientist, and we were responsible for mapping the wetlands in the area. And I just want to add that I am familiar with the property. We've been helping the town with the park over a number of years. We helped with the restoration of the pond, and I've been mapping wetlands in different areas. So I'm familiar with the meadow and its change over time, and familiar with the woodland areas and how bad the shrub layer is in there, of the shrub and vine layer of invasive vegetation. And I'm familiar with Penn's work. And so in my opinion, this is a excellent proposal. And I think ultimately a very good benefit for the environment and the park.
Bill's being a little kind. He was the designer for the Anderson Pond. So the entire dredging and all the work that was done at Anderson Pond was Bill's design. So while he says he worked there, it was actually his vision. So it's beautiful now, what it was.
So this is Dan Stepanek again. Before this, there was a cornfield. It was a cornfield, is that right?
Yes.
They
No?
called it the corn.
It was a cornfield back
There
when
wasn't
When it was
actually any
the
corn
estate.
stalks in there or anything?
this is when it was privately owned. It was a cornfield back at that time. When the town took it over, we started to use it initially for leaf deposition.
For
So
what?
for leaf deposition. So when we pick up the town leaves,
Yeah.
we didn't have the composting facility at that time off of Lapham Road. So we were actually dumping the leaves in that area, in what's now the Jenny Meadow, what we called the cornfield. And then when we dredged Mill Pond and Mead Pond, the spoils, the dredgings for both those ponds were estimated at about $1.25 million each to ship out of town. But it was relatively free to dump it and let it dewater in the cornfield. So we did that. So when Penn said that it was like a construction site, it was basically all the dredging materials that came from Mill Pond and Mead Pond went to the meadow. So it went to the cornfield and were deposited there and spread out so that they would dry. And then we were harvesting the topsoil and selling it for a number of years off to contractors that needed it. And then at that point in time, that was almost the birth of the Conservancy. The Conservancy came in and said, we don't want to see any more activity in Waveney, construction activity in Waveney. We want to see this meadow restored. So it was one of their first projects was to restore the meadow. And this work is surrounding the meadow to help benefit the meadow, to stop any invasives from coming into the meadow and then attack the invasives in and around that area. So this is part of as Penn mentioned, a multi-phase approach, multi-year approach to the process. But that gives you the history overall. So yes, it was a cornfield in the 60s. And then for 20, 30 years, we had probably 18 or more inches of composted leaves over time. And then we put the dredgings on top of that. And then the Conservancy came in and rejuvenated the meadow to see what it is today.
Is this phase one? And then you're going to go to phase two, phase three, and get more of the field? Is that what you're thinking about?
It's not a field. That's
Or-
not
I've seen it.
Right. The meadow itself is a meadow. The rest of it is a forest. It's forestry. So it's really trying to take care of the invasives that are throughout the forest.
I see.
But the current proposal is for the forest areas bordering the field. So it's not proposed to work in the field itself.
I have a question.
Anybody? Oh, go ahead.
Just Bill, in your number of years that you've been visiting the site through
different projects that the town has had and the wetland flagging that you've done and your most recent visit. What's your impression of how things are looking now? And will this plan further benefit the work that they've already started to establish?
The meadow looks fantastic. Yep. There, looks great. And as, Penn described, the warm season grasses, those clump forming grasses that provide great habitat for smaller animals and the wildflowers that are there. So the meadow looks very good. It's a never ending battle with the invasive vegetation, but it looks good. You get that good cover and it helps to keep other things from getting established. So doing a good job with that. And so, yeah. And I definitely think this is a benefit to the local ecology to remove all the invasives that are in the shrub layer and slowly get native ground cover forest on the forest floor.
Just as a quick follow-up to that, is there any educational opportunity that could be added to this? Because I think it's a great public space for people to see what can be done on a piece of property. So if there's some signage out there, but I don't know, signage or something, some way of educating people, that would be beneficial. I will say at the time we were there on the site visit, a lovely lady walking her dog came up and stopped us and just said, "Oh, are you people making this more beautiful?" So there's definitely an appreciation of people walking this area and enjoying it. So it is looking very good, and I have seen it through all of its phases, from the leaf mulch pile to the dredging to what it is now. So it's getting better and better, and it's a constant battle with the invasives. So I appreciate the Conservancy's efforts to, really look at this area and Penn's careful plan to really make it successful, because that's really what, at the end of the day, we hope to have.
Yeah, to your point, I think it would be a good educational thing, especially when the mulcher is out there, provided we gain approval, so people can understand it, maybe utilize it on their property and understand exactly what we're trying to do as far as invasive management. One of the questions that we're getting often now in my office is, what are we going to do with invasive management at every single one of our parks? Because we have invasives at every single one. We've been trying to attack it at Irwin. We had goats out there. We had the Parks Department going out there and trying to mulch and mow it down a couple of times. See if we can plant over it. We did some planting plans for that, but we're seeing invasives in each location. So this application, to Penn's point, if it takes care of 70% of the invasives on the first go, it's fantastic, because we didn't have that with the goats. We didn't have that with any other work that we had done. So I think that that's an excellent thing. And as far as the meadow goes, from the time frame after we stopped leaf deposition, and then before we put the dredgings down, that entire thing turned over to a Phragmite meadow. And it was an entirely full of Phragmites, which basically nothing could live in it except for the deer. So if you walked through it, because I walked through it with Skip Hobbs, you would see just basically where a deer had bedded down for the night, where they had kind of stomped down the Phragmites and bedded down for the night. And there was just deer paths through the entire thing, but it was entirely coated with Phragmites. And the Conservancy came in and took all the Phragmites and shipped them off, and then has been battling with them, sporadically since that time, since the inception of the meadow. So it's a complete rejuvenation from where it was just entirely Phragmites, where you couldn't walk and you couldn't enjoy it, to today, where it's a really nice spot.
Angela Jameson, can we just run over the timeline for this project? You're going to start as soon as you get approval, or you're going to wait for the weather to turn cold and then hopefully complete it by the end of the winter?
The goal was for this winter, when it, as Penn mentioned, to have it frozen over. He had 15 days in his proposal. That's basically, he can do 1 acre a day, 15 acres, 15 days, to Beth, to your question. And then at that point in time, he would look to see exactly what comes up after, not to answer for him, but then to actually then go in and take care of the rest of anything that might resprout. Ben, do you want to add anything more?
No, that's exactly right. Yeah. And as many of us know, it's a wait and see game. So we want to open this up so that we can all walk through it and monitor it as a whole, rather than looking in from the outskirts and sort of peering in. So this will allow us to get up in there and actually see what we're working with and give a more holistic evaluation.
And just to reiterate what Kathleen Holland said, it's nice to see that invasives are being dealt with on an important piece of town property. But as you know, Tiger, we all notice the degree of invasives elsewhere on town property. And I'm particularly concerned by the vines that we see strangling the beautiful trees that we have in places like Irwin Park, and hope that sooner rather than later, those can be dealt with.
We're trying. I hire a contractor every year to go out and cut the vines
Yeah.
and then try to pull them off the trees after they die. So we cut them and basically open up a gap so that there's, they'll die and then pull them off. I was mentioning as the video came on, I actually mentioned to Bill, I said that I want to buy one of those. So it actually might make it into my budget presentation to see, because if it does exactly that and it knocks down 70% of them on the first go, it might be another piece of equipment for the Parks Department at that point. So.
Anybody else? Are you done with your presentation?
Pen, do you have anything else to add?
No, we're great. I think it's crystal clear, and yeah, I'm just excited. I think we're taking a 10-acre meadow and we're going to expand the footprint another 15 acres into the woodland and regain 20+ acres of ecologically restored land in New Canaan on a public park. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, to Penn's point, so the Conservancy, this was their first foray, was not only the pond was their first, and then a couple of trails coming in off of South Avenue. The pond itself was a partnership with the town. We both split the costs. It was approximately $200,000 each for a $400,000 project. The Jenny and Meadow, they took on themselves. So they fundraised for the entire thing and spent well over $400,000 to date, just getting the meadow to this point. So then anything else that's going on with it, we welcome and thank the Conservancy for all of that work. So it's approximately about $500,000 already invested in the meadow, and more to come as we try to then help it by taking care of some of the invasives that are around it. So we're hoping that we gain approval from here, and then I'll have you come out when it's actually working so you can see the machinery, just in case someone else comes out and gets an idea for their property in town. You can come out and see it while it's working, because I think it would be a very nice thing, education out, as well.
Do you have to get approval from any other commission in town?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, this will be completely funded by the Conservancy. So there's no other commission or body that needs to approve it.
It
Anybody?
is a public hearing, so if you wanted to.
Yeah.
announce, is there anyone?
We have no questions from the commission.
No one
There's
there?
nobody here. Is there anybody on Zoom?
No, no one has raised their hand. There's a handful of people on Zoom, but they're part of other applications.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I see no one on Zoom for this matter.
Any other questions? If not, I'm going to close the public hearing. We're going to discuss it. All right, so let's close the public hearing, and I personally, I think it's a good deal for the town, really. How can you go wrong with something like this, really?
The fact that the Conservancy is paying for it,
Yeah,
right? And I mean, it's stopping invasives, and we'd like to do more of this, especially with
yeah.
donations.
I mean, it's a win-win for the town, for the habitat, for the environment. I think it's a great project.
Yeah.
Yep, a very good project.
And how long is it going to take you to do this? Timely? 15 days? Wow. And then once this is in, then do you broaden it out? Do you come to other parts of the meadow there?
At that point, we'd likely back.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Okay, can I hear a motion?
Do we have
Wait,
any
what-
special conditions?
I just wanted to throw that out there. I did suggest a special condition a little bit to what Dan was just talking about, and Tiger coming back annually after the start of let me just make sure I'm reading right. Start of construction, the applicant shall provide to town staff a status report of activities completed with a sketch of the area identified. So just like a progress report. Year one, yep, would be great.
No, that's fine. I didn't know if it was back to-
Oh, no, just a staff report to me and then, so then I know, because sometimes these things get off schedule just because of the weather or whatever. So first year, maybe you don't get anything done, but hopefully we will. And just to keep track of it, because it is a phasing in and it is for 5 years, this permit. So that's what I would suggest.
Angela Jameson, I would like to move approval of the project subject to the special condition set out by Kathleen Holland.
I would second that.
Well, any
You want-
discussion
you
on
would
that?
second it?
No? No discussion on that? I think we're fine. I don't understand. One more thing, money. You have it, you will have it,
The Conservancy has the funds for
as
this.
the whole thing, huh?
That's correct.
Really? Okay. All right. Can I hear a second?
I did.
You seconded it? All those in favor of approval, raise your hand. All those opposed?
And we have Adam on Zoom.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ed.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Motion
you.
carried. Thank you very much. Yep.
See you again soon.
So we'll close the public hearing and now we go to our regular meeting. Application number IW 2428 716 Ponus Ridge. Sergio Vaquero. Now, Barbara Wilson is not here. So I understand we're going to see a film or something.
Sergio is on the call and can turn on his camera if he would like. Sergio is the property owner at this location. Barbara Wilson was unable to be here tonight with a conflict. So she did provide a video recording of her presentation. You also have a handwritten, that's pretty much what she's going to present. If I can get the video to work, I'm going to play the video. It's pretty short, so we'll listen to that first and then perhaps have any questions that you might have for the homeowner to answer. So just give me a minute here. I will get this going.
Is that Barbara?
Oh, thank you, Beth. Whew. I almost forgot about you out there. Beth Brunelli is rejoining the meeting. I'm just getting the video queued up because Barbara's not able to be here tonight, Beth. Just don't think I have the sound, so hold on just a minute.
This is Barbara Wilson, a licensed landscape architect from New Canaan, who was hired by the Vaqueros that live at 716 Ponus Ridge Road to submit a wetland application that was required for remediating unpermitted clearing of the woods behind their new property. Application Inland Wetlands 24-28, map 25, block 13, lot 31. The lot size is 2.001 acres. The owners, starting in January 2024, removed approximately 11 existing trees in a portion of the upland review area and wetlands beyond the existing stone wall at the rear of the house. The owners had reviewed the online wetland mapping, which showed the area they wanted to clear was not designated wetlands. Because lack of full information on what was required, the owners went ahead and hired a contractor to create an accessway in January by regrading part of the upland review area by the garage and the wetland area, removing a portion of an existing dry-laid stone wall and adding topsoil so that the contractors could safely access the wooded area with mechanized equipment. The tree removal crew cut down the trees in January and removed the logs and brush off-site. Then another contractor was hired to remove the remaining stumps and roots in April using a small bobcat. The New Canaan Inland Wetlands agent issued a stop work order midway through this process and required the owners to submit a wetland remediation planting plan before proceeding with any more work. Most of the proposed remediation planting work is within the wetland area and a small portion within the upland review area. The intent of the remediation plantings is to reestablish native tree and shrub cover to promote biodiversity, reduce erosion of the area, slow the speed of potential floodwaters, provide shelter and food for the woodland wildlife, and incorporating natives that are not noticeably in the adjacent existing woods, which are dominated by swamp-bred maples. The wetland mitigation planting plan submitted includes the following to help remediate the damage done to the wetland area. First step will be to install the erosion controls around the perimeter of the work area along the edge of the undisturbed woodlands. They will remove the overgrowth of weeds and then remove exposed roots, stumps, and debris left by the previous contractors by hand or small equipment. They will regrade the area with small machinery to return the area to the original elevation and slope and allow the new plantings to be installed. Installing the new plantings in the wetland area will include a combination of native trees and shrubs for a total of 5 Acer rubrum, 2 Ilex opaca, 5 Quercus bicolor, 6 Clethra alnifolia, 5 Cornus sericea, and 4 Lindera benzoin. They will also install new plantings in the upland review area, which is just below the existing wall, which includes a combination of native shrubs and perennials, 4 Clethra alnifolia, 8 Hydrangea quercifolia, 4 Ilex glabra, 9 Joe pieweed, and 9 New York ironwood. Once the plantings have been installed, the next steps will include remove all of the soil that was added to create the ramp down from the upland review area to the wetland area from the driveway and at the edge of the replanting area. Then they will reset the existing stone wall with the stones that were left on site, but leave a 5-foot maintenance access gap so the owners can access all of the new plantings as needed in the future. They will then reseed all the disturbed upland review area between the stone wall and driveway with a shade lawn mix, and the area near to the patio will be seeded to sun lawn mix to help stabilize the exposed soil so no water will run off and dirt will run off into the wetland area. Planting work is proposed to start in the fall of 2024. Ongoing in control of the invasive species is proposed to continue annually by the owner, probably most likely by weed whacking the area monthly to limit the growth of the poison ivy and other invasives in the wetland area to allow for the successful growth of the new trees and shrubs. The owner will water the new installed plants as needed to allow for successful establishment.
Is that it?
Yes.
Is that it?
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Vaccaro, is he on?
Mr. Vaccaro is on the video there. So
Mr. Vaccaro, before we start asking questions, do you have anything you'd like to add right now?
No, sir. Thank you.
Let me ask this question. This is Dan Stepani. How give me maybe Kathy, you get it. How is this mapping? How could it be so wrong?
Bring up our folder. Let me just see if I can do that.
Is this kind of common in this mapping and other?
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Mr. Vicario may have looked at what we call our DEP, like our general map, which gives the general guidance of where wetland soils might be on a piece of property. I'm not sure if that's what he looked at, but it's not necessarily wrong, but it's a starting point. And I think from that, he assumed, I guess incorrectly, that he was okay to go forward with construction activity. Well, tree removal was the first thing that happened in January. We didn't actually catch up to this one until like April when the machine work started, because we were unaware that it was happening. But it's not until a soil scientist actually field locates the wetlands, which he has subsequently now has done. And oh, I want to share my screen here if I can do that. So I don't know. Do you want to add anything to that, Sergio?
No, I think Kathleen, that's accurate. Unfortunately, the map that is being used, and again, I remember receiving that map from the town. I guess that's the map that's being used, is not even close to where the wetlands are. I'm happy to share a screen of that map for everybody's benefit if that's helpful. But that map shows a wetland area in my property more towards the back, closer to the wall. Whereas in fact, that's the upland area and the wetlands are closer. According to the soil scientist, the wetlands are closer in a very different location than what the map shows. I think that's quite unfortunate that is the case, but that's the information I had. And again, I'm an accountant. I have an MBA. I'm not an expert in these matters, and obviously it's unfortunate that I did all this work without the proper approval.
Sandy Redden, for the record, a question for staff, for Kathleen. So if we look at the old map that was used, two questions actually. The old map, was any of the work done in what the old map would show to be uplands or upland review area?
I'd say probably yes. And just it's a little further explanation of that. The whenever those maps are given out or provided, we always have sort of the explanation as to this is a starting point where wetlands are potentially on your property. In all cases, it's need to be field located by a certified soil scientist. That might be a little bit much for a homeowner to take on an understanding of. And I think perhaps that's also part of what happened here is things progressed before really checking all the boxes and crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's. So
a resident can be very nice and very polite and still do something when they were told not to, or the map says don't do it. Right. So how did this come to the commission's or to the staff's attention?
So last April is a neighboring property noticed, I think, when the machine work started, and they got a little nervous about that and felt that potentially it was wetlands, and maybe not knowing. I'm not sure how long Sergio and his family have been at this property, but I feel like they're fairly new at this location. So they reached out to our office. One of the planning individuals went out and checked it out, and he said, I think you should stop and wait for Kathleen to get here. Then I went out and checked it out. I said, yes, I think you're going to need to pump the brakes here. Let's figure out what's going on for wetlands on the property, get it field located. And so that's when we picked up the conversation as to getting everything properly mapped. They stopped immediately. The contractor left the site. Yep. They did not proceed with any additional work until, frankly, here they are now.
The neighbor flagged you, and then you called town.
Well, I reached out. I left a business card, and when I went.
So who did the neighbor reach out to? Did you discuss this with the neighbor before the town became involved?
No, they called me.
The neighbor, I think some neighbor, I don't even know who called. Frankly, somebody called the town, a town official.
I got a couple calls.
Showed up in my house and told me that I needed to stop. I just happened to be home that day. I'm not usually home, but I was home that day. They told me that I need to stop and talk to Kathleen, and that's what I did.
Yeah, that was Stephen from Planning and Zoning.
I think, so, Kathleen, you were out on vacation at that time. I think that's
correct. Yeah, everything happens when I'm on vacation.
Yeah.
So this is Angela Jameson. I would say, Mr. Vaccaro, that you were poorly served by your contractor. And that's perhaps something to think long and hard about when you undertake your future projects, that you try and find someone who will say, well, you know, it's all well and good what you'd like to do, but we ought to make sure that we know exactly what the situation is on the property. And unfortunately, there are some contractors who are cowboys.
Believe me, next time it's going to be quite different. I'm not thrilled of where I'm at. That's where I'm at, and now we need to work to fix it, and that's what I intend to do. So.
So this is Angela Jameson, and I have additional questions regarding the soil that was put down to provide to make the on-ramp into the wetlands for the initial work. I believe we heard that will be removed. Where will it be placed? Is it going off site, or is it going to be placed somewhere else on the property?
I don't think Barbara and I discussed that. My assumption was that is going to be taken out. I wouldn't know where to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the best course of action, it's not a tremendous amount of material that was hauled in.
Yeah.
It does seem to be clean and free of debris. However, there's no good use for it on your property. So I think if you wanted a special condition that mandated that imported fill be properly disposed of off-site, that would be a good way to cover it.
Beth Sanford, just in terms of the trees you removed, did she specify in her video?
Yes, it's on her plan as well. I'm
looking at the.
I'm trying to think. It wasn't, Sergio, can you remind me what was the number of trees?
So there were 11 trees, one or two, I don't remember, one for sure, two maybe were dead. And 6 were not on wetland soils,
right,
but within the, I guess, 50 feet area, but not on wetland soils. They were closer to the wall, and the first, if you remember, the first, I don't know, 15, 20 feet from the wall towards the back are not wetland soils, and the trees were in. Some of them, I think 6 of them were in that area. And 4 were on wetlands.
So 11 were removed, and how many are going to be replaced with these plantings?
Sorry, I'm traveling and I didn't bring the Barbara's.
I have installed new plantings in the wetlands, include a combination of native trees and shrubs. And she lists them 5.
Red maple.
2, I don't know the Latin names. 2, you can add them up, plus another 5, plus a number 6, plus another 5, plus another 4. So more than what was removed. And then there's additional plantings in the upland review area, totaling quite a number in the upland review area as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sergio, this is Dan Stepanek. If you went ahead with this and you finished it, what plans did you have for this particular part of your yard? Was you gonna plant grass?
I mean, what? Yeah, the intention was to just have a normal lawn.
Yeah, say it again, I'm sorry.
Lawn, yeah. I was just planning to plant grass in the
lawn. Okay.
Well, we certainly appreciate that this plan for remediation includes a lot of plantings that are absolutely suitable for wetlands. So that is absolutely a good thing.
It will, plus Beth Sanford speaking, it will be good for the the environment, it's in the ecology. So it's a, you know, the harm inflicted has produced a very good outcome
Yeah.
or planned
wetland.
outcome.
Yeah. Right.
Do you have any comments?
No, I think, you know, picking up on Angela's point, the contractor should have known better. I didn't have the opportunity to actually speak with that gentleman because he was gone by the time I had gotten there. And the rear area on Sergio's property is so wet. The machine was, you know, it was never going to sustain a lawn in that area. So unfortunately, the homeowner got perhaps taken advantage of with not the most reputable contractor who frankly could never have finished this job because it just was not going to work. He'd be putting good money into a bad situation. So I think the outcome is what it is, and Sergio has worked with me cooperatively to get to this point, and it's been a learning process for the homeowner with his property and the makeup of the property. But now he has a very good A2 survey with all the wetlands sufficiently flagged and located on the property. The restoration plan that Barbara has provided, I think, is she's a consultant who's an expert in this area and is come up with a very reasonable plan without going beyond what needs to be done to restore the area. I had 2 special conditions that are in the staff report, that the landscape architect shall provide a list of any plants to be substituted to the staff for review. The second, plant substitutes shall match sizing and numbers approved by the commission. Sometimes seasonally, you just can't get what you want to get to plant. So I leave it to the landscape architect to tell me if there's a substitution. Secondly, upon completion of plant installation, landscape architect shall provide, inspect and provide a final report to staff. Then I think it would be important to add the other one, remove imported, fill and dispose of properly offsite.
When did Barbara want to start this? Right?
I think right away. I also happened to mention that in my report because this has been sitting, well, the tree work happened in January. We then had the stump removal and things trying to be done in April. We shut them down then. I think the family would like to have the backyard restored sooner than later. If we get into we have a small window of opportunity right now for a really good fall restoration plan for this project. So I see no sense in waiting. Hopefully if they get their approval this evening, they're ready to go as well with actual implementation.
Any other comments? Do you have anything more you'd like to say, Sergio? No?
No.
Nothing? Okay. Can I hear a motion? You making the motion with the special conditions? Special conditions, all right.
Was it 3 or 2?
3. Total of 3.
Did you have a motion or a special condition where they keep you abreast and they ask you to come out and take a look at what's going on?
So not on this one. This should be a fairly quick
one?
fall installation. That's why Barbara's there. So once all the plants are installed, then she will do the final inspection. I also will do a final inspection at some point and periodically go out to check progress. But certainly if they have any questions or concerns, I can come out. So, but I don't think it's necessary when it should be one season and done, hopefully, maybe next spring.
All right. Priscilla made the motion that with special conditions, and can I hear a second?
That's Sanford, I second it.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those
Aye.
opposed? Motion's carried. Adam,
He said aye.
you say aye, okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Sergio. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're good to go.
Thank you very much. I guess, Kathleen, I'll call you on the specifics, details, but I guess I can
Sure.
forward?
You will receive a written permit to actually proceed with the activities. So we'll be getting that out this week with a copy to Barbara as well. And any additional, we do ask for something called a contractor compliance permit. So once you hire whoever's going to be doing this work for you, I need to know their name, cell number, and email so that I can communicate directly with that individual as well. So we'll get that in the mail probably this week.
And I'm sure Barbara is familiar with all of these things.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
Excellent. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
very much. As much as I like you, I hope I don't have to sit in front of this commission again. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
All right, take care.
All righty, moving along, agent report. We have 6 permits that were issued, but number 10 here, 105 Kimberly Place. We have an issue here, a violation, and I've asked Kathleen to kind of bring us up to date. And then Brian, is he here?
Yep, he's on the call right there.
Brian?
Yep.
Okay, good. Why don't we start with Kathleen giving us a little background, and then Brian, you can take us where we are now, then what sort of plans you have, that type of thing.
Okay. So in your packet, I had distributed the notice of violation that was issued July 26th to a homeowner at 105 Kimberly Place. This wetland violation came to us from a general neighbor, not immediately adjacent, but concerned that some machine activities were taking place in or near wetlands on the rear of 105 Kimberly Place. So I reached out to the homeowner and met with her actually spoke with her on July 23rd about a possible violation. She said she had been doing some tree work. So I said, well, why don't we have a little meeting at your property and see what's going on? So met with the homeowner on July 24th, established that, yes, there were various wetland violations. I've listed the violations in the notice that included a disturbance of approximately 5,000 square feet with the removal of a shed, multiple plants, installation of drainage pipes directly into the water course from the area of the existing driveway, stacking of large boulders along in and over for a length of 100 feet long by a 5-foot wide water course, the depositing of 18 to 24 inches of material in, over, and within wetlands upland review area. Spent about 90 minutes with the property owner trying to walk her through that all these activities had to stop and that they'd had to go through a process to rectify. So unfortunately, on July 25th, a second complaint came into our office about a continuation of earth disturbing activities. And I forgot to mention on July 24th, when I met with the property owner, I issued a verbal cease and desist, which was agreed to at that point in time. So unfortunately, additional activities started again on the following day. So the town engineer and myself made a subsequent inspection from the public right of way, and we were able to confirm that additional activities had been taking place with an irrigation system being installed. So there's also some other violations involving the Public Works Department. So that's another matter that's being addressed as well. So so I did go forward with a formal notice of violation and documented everything, which was sent to the property owner, and everything cited in the violation. This is official notice to halt all work. In addition, I had asked them to appear at the meeting or file a wetland application for this particular application. Over the month's time, yes, about a month and a half, I have been in communication with the property owner. She has subsequently hired Brian Nesteriak, who's a professional engineer, and Brian has been providing advice and guidance to the property owner at this point in time to try to move forward with rectifying the situation. The second thing I just wanted to notice, a citation for $1,000 was issued to Mike Lato, who was the contractor who had actually been undertaking all of the activities that caused the disturbance. The citation was issued on July 29th and has been paid. The citation portion of this is complete, and that at least has been paid. Once Brian Nasariak got involved with the property, Brian and I have been in excellent communication, trying to at least temporarily stabilize the site, with Brian as the PE and guiding the homeowner as her consultant, and then Brian checking with me regarding what he would advise the property owner to do at this point in time to temporarily stabilize the site. So all of those communications have been documented and are part of the file, some of which Brian may go over in his summary. And I asked Brian to come here this evening to update the commission on where things stand at this point in time since his involvement, and then also address sort of next steps and what we might anticipate in the way of a wetland application to hopefully rectify the situation. The property owner is aware that, we're moving forward with all of these, hopefully steps in the right direction, and is in compliance currently.
Thank you. Brian? Would you like to, next steps?
Sure. Just for the record, Brian Asteriak, professional engineer, land surveyor with B&B Engineering. Kathleen summed it up really well. We are currently working on just a remediation plan. The owner pleaded ignorance. I think I truly believe her. She just thought she was improving her backyard, and the contractor really took a lot of leeway to do it. So she has been completely compliant and listening to me, getting things done to get stabilized. We were waiting on a survey. We were waiting on the wetlands being flagged, which has all been done. I got those about a few weeks ago. Currently, I'm just working on coming up with a remediation plan, which should be done in the next few weeks. I've talked to Kathleen a few times, and we're going to meet to try to go over just some general ideas of how we're going to remediate this area. And then I'm hoping to have an application in for the next meeting.
Which is October, October 21st, right?
Right.
Yep. Any questions of Brian? Or Barbara? Anything? Nothing? Anything?
Underway towards what we're going to hear.
Okay, thank you very much, Brian. I guess there's no questions, yeah.
Great. Well, we'll be back next month and hopefully have a detailed plan for you guys to consider, and I'm sure we'll go over it in more detail.
Okay.
So Brian, just as far as the process, I know you and I already have a scheduled appointment on October 7th, and if you just confirm with the property owner, that's all right, that we'll be meeting on that day. And then your filing, you would meet the filing deadline hopefully for October. The application gets received in October. The commission then would schedule a site visit in early November, and then you would present in November. So that's the timeline, but your first targeted hard deadline is October, I've forgotten the date, a week before the 21st. But we'll talk on the 7th, so we're already scheduled for the 7th to do a site visit.
Yep, forgot about the timing there, but that all sounds right. Great.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks
Thank
for
you so
coming
much.
tonight.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, before we adjourn, any new business at all anybody wants to discuss? Do you want to talk about some of these permits?
There's a lot of them. There was a lot of them. I
There's
mean,
6 of them.
do
Yeah,
you?
anything special?
No, I don't think so. I think it's business as usual. It was an unusually busy August, and throw a couple violations in the mix, and my time was well spent for the month of August. So no, there's no shortage of construction activities, some of which are up in the Upland Review area, but the property owners and the consultants that they provide to do the applications are very well detailed with soil erosion controls and best management practices. So, my review in these applications, I go to the site, I review all the plans. I get, the same thing happens that goes to you guys, you know, we get Maria's input, we get the health department's input. We go out and visit the sites as they go forward. Some of these are already underway as I look at the list here. Yeah, 12 Wellesley's underway, 67 Carter Street's getting ready to go. Yeah, most of these are already well into construction at this point. 513 Main Street. Mhm. So nothing in particular.
Okay.
So
Thank you. Thank you. No, if no other comments, can I hear a motion to adjourn? Sandy,
I second, Angela Jameson.
Angela James is second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you very much.